Welcome to the Fowl Front Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, where our goal is to recruit and educate new hunters while entertaining the rest of you. Without new hunters and the mentorship of those more seasoned, this passion as we know it faces an uncertain future. So get the word out, turn the volume up, and enjoy the show, because you're on the Fowl Front. This week's episode is brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries, the fastest growing, most affordable decoys on the market, with unmatched customer service. Visit them online at divebombindustries.com, on Instagram or Facebook at Dive Bomb Industries. Or go ahead and give them a call anytime, 7 days a week, at 314-322-7468. And go ahead and use the promo code Fowl Front, all undercase with a space in between fowl and front, for 10% off your next purchase of Dive Bomb decoys. This episode also brought to you in part by Hunt Hickory Creek. And new to Hunt Hickory Creek this year is their Central Kansas Lodge. They're going to be running hunters from the end of October all the way through January. And their main hunting area is located between Quivira National Refuge and Cheyenne Bottoms. Now, Central Kansas is a special place for waterfowl hunting. And during the peak migration, these refuges hold hundreds of thousands, if not close to millions of birds at one time. So for your chance of a hunt of a lifetime, head on over to hunthickorycreek.com, because if you're going to hunt Kansas, hunt Hickory Creek. All right, this week we've got Cody Stokes, the president of Dive Bomb Industries. And on this episode, I got to tell you, it's really nice. It's really refreshing to hear from people that are so big kind of in the industry, behind the scenes, and how they never stop thinking about the end user. That's us, the guys on the ground, especially guys and gals like the Fowl Front listeners that, we're not big names. A lot of us are budget hunters and all that. And it's just really, it's great to see conservation minded, down to earth people, that are behind these companies. All right. So Cody goes ahead and he's going to give us a little, lineup of the products they have coming out and the products that they already do have out. But past that, he's really going to give us some tips for how to utilize these products in the field, whether that be running smaller numbers of spreads or how to actually emplace a very effective 2D spread. And then also we touch a little bit on the company's history and kind of give you a peek behind the curtain on what they got going on in there. So, all right, without much further ado, let's get into it. All right, Cody. Well, what's your background in hunting?
Let's see. My background in hunting, I grew up chasing animals around with suburbs of St. Louis. My grandpa had a little bit of property west suburbs, and he let me run around in the backyard with a pellet gun, the bow and arrow, and first squirrel I ever shot. He made me fetch it over the neighbor's fence, bring it back to him, pulled out his pocket knife right then and there, and gutted it, skinned it, cut the head off, and passed it into my grandma. And the next thing you know, that night we were having fried squirrel. So pressure cooked right into the skillet, and that was my first real hunting experience. I don't know if you really call it a hunt or not, but I think that was the first time I ever really killed anything. But no, that's a pretty fond memory of killing my first animal, and then something makes me proud of my grandpa eating it and making me do the right thing with it. So, but no, after that, I grew up hunting a club in St. Charles for a little while with someone in my family, and then ended up starting shooting competitively. And then through that, I met a bunch of guys in central Missouri, and we started hunting their local farms, and then the Missouri conservation areas, Eagle Bluffs and Grand Pass, which are two phenomenal duck hunting areas that are public in Missouri. So then after school, first year out after college, packed up and drove up to Saskatchewan for 10 days with some friends, and we've been doing that for the last 10 or so years. We got an old an 88 or something, 80, I think it's an 88 F-150 up there we bought off of an old lady. So we keep that up there with the 12-foot enclosed trailer with full of decoys. So awesome. That's kind of where I'm at. And then just this last year, I started taking on going visit some clients and some larger outfitters and things like that. And being entertained. And there's a big difference between going out and scouting and doing the homework and doing all the legwork yourself rather than going to an outfitter and letting them do all of it for you. So anyway, but that's kind of my intro.
All right, we're going to take a quick second to hear from some of the companies and some of our other partners that help bring you this show.
Hey everyone, Austin here with Colorado Custom Game Calls. Are you looking for a duck or goose call for next season? Are you a budget hunter? Well, guys, let us know over here at Colorado Custom Game Calls. We provide high-quality calls at affordable prices. We are budget hunter-friendly. Whether it be the colors of the resin, the colors of the band, do you want something in your call? It's your call. You get to build it from the ground up. So, guys, make sure you go check us out on our Facebook and Instagram and on the web at coloradocustomgamecalls.com.
Do you remember, Cody, how old were you when you shot that squirrel?
Heck, I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe. Pretty young, so.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, a lot of people, when they're trying to give you advice, getting youth involved in hunting this day and age, they kind of like to give kids a soft introduction, but you got to experience the whole thing from loading that pellet gun all the way to the dinner table. Wow.
Yeah, so no, it's just let me loose in the backyard with a pellet gun, have some fun. So, you know, the grandparents that I did that with, they grew up poor in South Central Missouri, a small town by the name of Crocker. So I had guns and hunting and eating from the land. I mean, that's the way they survived. So, you know, I went and sat in a conservation education class once, and I listened to them. I had my grandpa there with me, and we sat there, and they were trying to teach ethics along with hunting, you know, and eating what you kill is one thing. But they were trying to tell the class not to shoot a rabbit in a den or not to shoot a quail in its covey and all that stuff. And my grandpa goes, well, the game changes a little bit when you're hungry and you're trying to feed your family. So,
right.
You know, that's just interesting talk. So.
Did you know that tagging migratory game birds after you harvest them is a federal law? Did you know it's being enforced in all 50 U.S. states and Canada? Well, Toe Tags LLC has just the solution for migratory game bird hunters. A waterproof tagging solution that meets all federal tagging laws. With several options of tags and custom tags available, this is perfect for all hunters. Whether you are an outfitter or a weekender, for just a few cents a day, you can ensure you're in compliance with the law. Contact Toe Tags LLC at www.toetagsllc.com.
Hey, I want to tell you about a hunt logging system that my friend Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting has created. It's a site called Freelance Hunt Stats. At Freelance Hunt Stats, you can record information from each day's hunt, which allows you to remember what took place each day, and it also helps you improve your future hunting success. It's easy to use, it tracks game totals, weather patterns, shooting information, bird averages, and a lot more. So go to freelancehuntstats.com and create an account to start logging your hunts today.
So, how did Dive Bomb Industries come about? Why silhouettes? Why socks?
So, Dive Bomb, man, I always wanted to get in this industry. I always looked at the Cabela's magazines. I always watched the Outdoor Channel. You know, fishing and hunting were really my thing. So, and I always wanted to break into either one, and I got real into the waterfowl side probably about the perfect time. I mean, I'm in manufacturing already, so that opens up some opportunities to meet certain people and partners, and give me some experiences to kind of have a knack for what I do already. But no, I saw an opening, and I think in the silhouettes, and man, I figured, heck, I'm hunting this one field. I could use some more bulk to my spread, and how the heck am I going to afford it? And I looked and saw, hey, a silhouette's probably the way to go. The tooling costs, the overhead costs involved are pretty low, and there seemed to be a hole where I could slide a product right into it. So that was it. I took some pictures at a park and some geese and laid them out on plastic and sought out a manufacturing partner, and I ran 500 dozen. So brought in the first 500 dozen, and I really didn't have a website or a logo or any of that stuff, and just dreaming up logo after logo, and finally, came up with the Dive Bomb one, and I ran those silhouettes myself and sold some through friends, and eventually put ads up on Craigslist throughout the states, and pointed them to the website when they inquired, and that's basically how it started. And, that was, I think, going on 9 years ago. So it hasn't been an overnight success. It's been basically an organic growth, word of mouth, and there it is.
Do you remember your first sale?
Man, I don't know. I got my first couple. I think there's a kid in Pennsylvania called by the name of Brandon Moyer, and he's always been a really good guy, and he's probably one of the first ones. So, and then there's another guy came through here every once in a while, does a lot of land management stuff. He just wanted him to run with his dogs, so he came in here and bought some just to run with his dogs, and he would go to different dog shows and whatnot, and he was like, hey, all these guys are wanting them to run their dogs through, and and they're also wanting them to hunt with. So if you want me to help you sell some, I'm not looking to make any money. So yeah, that's how it started. And then we had that first 500 dozen, and they went out of here like crazy. So went and ran another, I don't know, 100 dozen or something, or 500 dozen or 700 dozen, I think it was. And you know what? They were just messed up. The colors were wrong, and the textures were wrong, and the steel was soft, and all that stuff. And I'm looking at all this money that I'm probably not going to be able to recuperate. All the profit from that first run is now sitting here in bad product, and I'm, looking at it and just thinking, what, this is the end. It's over and all that stuff. So I think the second season I was involved, I don't think I sold anything. People were asking if we were still in business. Yes, of course we are. We're out of stock, and talked to my dad. And I said, hey, what do you think I should do here? He's like, well, you selling any? Yeah. Are you having some fun doing it? He goes, I said, yeah. And he said, well, why the hell would you quit? Keep going. So went back at it one more time, and that was part of the changeover between the V1. At the time, we didn't know V1 was ever a V1. We just thought it was, our Canada Goose silhouette. But version 1 would stand for V1 would stand for version 1, and then we came out with V2, and that's what we're still selling today. So made a bunch of improvements, and yeah, it's a great product, and it's been that way for going on 5-6 years now. So
yeah, when did you say, like? I think I first heard about you guys only like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I might have just been a little, behind on it, but you guys are big. You guys are like juggernauts in social media right now.
Asher, I was never a big social media, personally never a big social media guy. I mean, Instagram I think is fantastic. I really like it. I'm addicted to it. But the Facebook stuff I never really got into. And I think Instagram really picked up its popularity in 13, 14, 15, stuff like that. And I just started an Instagram page, I think, in 15. But before that, no, we were just magazine and word of mouth. And those social media stuff has really made it help. I mean, we've got some good partners in the industry. And then we've got a guy that runs our social media, Asher. He's just done a fantastic job. So, yeah, the social media these days is really the ticket. I mean, like the magazine circulations are, 20, 30, 40,000 people. And then you got a good guy on Instagram that has 40,000 followers. He can reach out to them at any time of day and touch 40,000 people. So, I mean, you're getting a lot better bang for your buck. And it's just, it's a really, really efficient way to market and advertise. So,
yeah, I'm kind of with Ben as well. I'm new to Dive Bomb within the last couple of years, and it's because of your social media presence. But that's kind of, that's really cool to hear your backstory and how, those words that your dad told you. I think those are just key words of wisdom to anybody in their life. Do what you're enjoying. And so to hear that you kept plugging away with that, and that there is a backstory besides just like an overnight success, like you said, that's not the way it worked out. That's really cool, and it's kind of humbling.
Cool. Well, I think so. Yeah, it's certainly humbling. It's kind of unbelievable to see this place having the pace at the pace it is right now. It's just it's really, really cool. So I'm proud of everyone that's helped me, along the way, and I don't want to say I'm proud of myself, but I mean it's just a good feeling. So
right. Yeah, no, I love that we can hear the forklifts in the background. I think you can hear orders being. That's awesome.
I wish if we were video chat, I'd take you out there right now and show you the madness. So I got.
So how'd you get linked up with Asher? Because he's big in the group, and I mean the guys in the group just love having him in there and talking. And we really appreciate you all throwing our listeners that discount code last week. I think we got a lot of good guys into some spreads that they normally wouldn't have been able to afford, and we just really appreciate you affording that opportunity to the listeners.
Yeah. Well, how did I meet Asher? Asher had a large page, Compatriot Outdoors, and he reached out to me he reached out to me 5 or 6 years ago, I think, and said, "Hey, man, we'd love to run some of your product. Would you be willing to make a trade? We'll help you with some social media stuff, and we'll run your product at the same time." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great thing." And I'm telling you, I've had so many guys come and inquire or say, "Hey, I'm going to make a video for you," or "Here's my hunting group. What can we have for free?" And I'm pretty liberal with this stuff. I'd like to put a lot of trust in people and say, "Hey, here's your product. Let's see what you got." And a lot of times it works out, and a lot of times it doesn't. But with him, he exceeded the expectations that I'd set, and he said, "Hey, I'm looking for some more product." "Absolutely. What do you need? Here you go." And he's a professional baseball player, and I didn't even realize that when I was talking to him at first. And he came back at me a year or two ago and said, "Hey, if you're interested at all with any help with dive bomb, let me know." And he just started off as kind of a small role and helping me with posts here and there, and then he, had to get involved with customer service because a lot of that, intertwines with the social media. I mean, customer service isn't just via our phone or our email anymore. It's Facebook, it's Instagram. I mean, that's basically the main outlet anymore. So he basically had to integrate himself into all of those, and he manages customer service, he manages social media, and he's taken on pretty much a full-time role here. So yeah, he's doing fantastic. I got nothing but good things to say about him. So
yeah. So who else do we got back there? Who else helps run the ship?
Who do we have here? We got Andy. Being a shipping guy's tough sometimes. I mean, sure. He's got orders flying in here left and right, and the worst thing that can happen to a guy like him is we have something going back order, and then he can't finish out orders. He's got to leave them open and ship what's on back order as soon as it comes in, and it just takes a simple, efficient system, and it just throws a wrench in it, But Andy, we got Andy over in shipping. He does most of the shipping stuff. Then we have Debbie out there. She's a real nice woman who does a lot of the picking and pulling. And Andy will do most of the paperwork stuff and the labeling and all that. Schedule the LTL, so like the pallet size shipments that go out. He'll handle all that, and then he actually double checks everything that Debbie does. So I've pulled orders myself. I started doing it all by myself, pulling orders and everything. And without someone there to double check you, it's just a matter of time. You get caught up in 50 order day, or you get caught up with the UPS guy showing up in 5 minutes, and the stuff hits the fan and you make errors. So we've just really tried to integrate a 2-person system out here so they can check each other and slow them down just a bit. We do everything we can to get orders out the same day and at the latest the next day. But sometimes you just gotta say, "Hey, slow down, take a deep breath. We'll call in another pickup later on in the day," and it's kind of how we want to manage it here. So, but those two, and then I got a manufacturing partner that has been with me since day one. Fantastic guy, share a lot of interests, hard worker, and that's pretty much the core group.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned a little bit about how you named the first one the V1, and now you guys are on the V2, and you get the V2Fs. Kind of familiar with the current products, but you guys have some stuff coming out here that Asher was telling us about a little bit. But you want to mention any of that at all?
Yeah, sure. So just today we got in the S3HL. So the S3s is kind of our signature snow line. We dropped the S2, which was a graffiti back. We commissioned a graffiti artist out of Minnesota, and he did the S2. But we now have the S3, which is beautiful paint. We have that in a blue, snow, and a juvie, and we're probably gonna introduce the headless version of that to reduce costs and save some volumes in those sock bags, probably today or tomorrow. So headless S3s, and then we've got same backbone system, but the stakes taller now to 36 inches will be the S5. So we'll have S5 with a head and S5HL, and those are by request. You wouldn't believe the requests we had for guys that wanted to help hide. So, piling socks in around hunters, whether they're in whites or if they're under their potato sacks or rucksacks or even in their layout lines. So we got tall stake socks coming out. heads and heads off. And then those are tall enough. You see corn combined at 6 inches high, and then you see corn combined at 14 inches. Well, these will be clear over that 14 or 18 or however tall those stalks are to keep the bags from getting ripped up. So, and then on down the line, we'll have bags for the S5s because they're too long to fit in the regular bags we offer. We have a crane bag that we're going to release more than likely tonight. The cranes are massive, so the bag is also massive. Massive bag. We actually have it collapsed down to something that's manageable, which is pretty cool. And then the cranes now allow you to permanently attach them to the stake system. So you can keep the stakes attached and put them in the bag all together, and it'll really keep them from running all over your trailer and getting dirty and whatnot.
Right.
And man, we got more stuff coming. Can we keep going?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Go ahead.
We've got pintail silhouette coming out. Those are good. We're expecting them in a month or so, but they're probably going to be pushed out because we are running these V2 and V2F Canadas. We are running them full throttle. I mean, we are just running the daylights out of them. So for us to cut in and run 500 dozen of some pintails, it would murder, a big portion of that production on the Canadas. So sometime this fall, we're going to have a pintail. They're finalized. Heck, I'm looking at them in my office right now. So we got pintail silhouettes coming out. The V2 Snow, which is the snow silhouette, we've changed the paint scheme. So, all the requests were, we want big and white and simple as can be, and they get them out in the field. And I don't know if it was the clients or the pictures or what, but they're like, oh man, we said white, but we need them toned down just a little bit. So we added gray, added some detail around the eyes, just added some contour. So they look very, very realistic. They look very nice right now. So, yeah. And then, go ahead.
No, sorry. We were talking about the bags that you were talking about earlier. Tegan just got hands on one of those bags this afternoon because I got one over here. And the thing that's awesome about those bags is you've got so many different ways you can carry it. You can buddy carry them with the handles on the side. You can throw it over your back like a backpack strap, or you can throw it over a shoulder. I was impressed by that bag. Well,
cool. Yeah. The other feature of that bag is it stands upright without any decoys in it at all. So you don't have to dedicate an arm or two arms to holding it open while your buddy fills it full. You can just leave it upright itself. And then, the straps you mentioned on the side, they're new as of about a week ago. So you guys must have your hands on a brand new one. Yeah. And additionally on that bag, we've increased the seam strengths in almost every location. So, we had bags running all over the world last year, all over the country, and got a ton of feedback on, weak points and what needed improvement, and we applied all that this year. So the bag we have this year should just be as bulletproof as it can, as more than likely as it can get. So that bag's pretty cool at this point. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And then just things, flyer requests, some upright, all of our snows right now, they're feeder and headless. We got some stuff to make the snows go upright. The only problem with an upright is once you put that head on it permanently, then it won't fit in the V2 bag, and then they just get large and they get cumbersome. And then if you put that head on top of a 36-inch stake for an S5, and you got something that's 4 miles long. So collapsible upright head is something we're gonna integrate here probably this spring, and then flyer. Something to make those flyers move and no wind days, and then working on. We get more requests for apparel and hats and clothing and whatnot. So we got about 10 new hats of brewing, a whole bunch of shirts, really cool new pocket shirt. We're gonna release in a couple days, and then maybe a raincoat and some jackets. I'm not sure about that, but we're working on it.
You gotta love the pocket tees.
That's pretty cool. A good expansion on the apparel line, not just the decoys.
Yeah. Just this weekend, they're like, man, this logo's cool. It could be like a lifestyle brand. I'm like, yeah. Let's keep this focus on waterfowl. And, otherwise you lose your blinders and you just end up into tennis, and that's just not what we are. We're focused on waterfowl, and that's that. So.
Well, I say you gotta, not having time to, cut out pintails because you got too many Canadas to go out. I'd say that's a pretty good problem to have for you guys.
It's a good problem. It's a good problem. It just makes you go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, it just makes you wish you'd have got on it earlier. But the growth and stuff, just there's no telling how to predict what we're really going to do next year, other than our past year's sales. So it's kind of a gamble on what we're stocking here. So.
Well, I'm sure whatever you come out with year to year, it's going to be good. I mean, you guys' reputation's holding up. When we talked to Asher, we mainly talked about a lot of Canada silhouette and sock situations, but being in Missouri and then going up to Saskatchewan every year, do you do much snow goose hunting?
Yeah, we run spreads up there, but as far as around here goes, I don't think the St. Louis side, I don't think gets the snows. Every once in a while, we get a big push if there's a bunch of snow out west. But I killed more snows at a buddy's farm just outside of St. Louis this fall. So St. Louis's duck season this past year was poor. And man, my buddy threw, I think he had 1,000 plus decoys, maybe 2,000, and a rotary out in a pit blind. And heck, when the ducks weren't flying, the snow geese were flying the wrong way. And heck, we shot more snow geese this fall than I'd ever shot, and he'd ever shot in St. Louis ever. But no, predominantly just chase them up in Canada in October. And you find a duck field up there, you find a honker field up there. Chances are those ducks are going to hit that same spot. I mean, within 100 yards the next morning. You can watch a snow field for a week and a half. You go out there. Heck, they may not show, or they'll all come off the roost at one time, and you just blew the whole morning. And once if a good portion of those snows get off the roost and they head your way and you blow them out, the group behind them, you think they're going to follow 1,000 geese circling a field in the air, flying around, and you think they're going to go to 1,000 stationary socks on the ground. I think they're going to go to the live ones. So that's the tough part about snow goose hunting, is they're just a different breed. But man, if I'm going to snow goose hunt, I'm going to throw as much as I got at them. I mean, bigger the better. The more flyers, the more motion, and then obviously hiding yourself in that. But big difference between hunting snows and stuff as compared to the ducks. So, man, if I'm hunting ducks, I put out what I see or a little larger. I mean, if they're just a colossal feed, then, you're never going to really touch it. But I try and throw out, if it's just ducks, I throw out ducks. If it's just honkers, then I throw out honkers. I'm not trying to put out honkers to tease in some mallards that have been feeding in a field by themselves for the last, 5 days. I don't know why I would do that. I don't know, but I hear a lot of success of guys running honkers just for ducks, and I know there's huge players in the industry that do it. So I know they're highly visible, and I think they get along in the field. So I don't think that's a bad tact at all. So
yeah, I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the things I wanted to pick your brain on is hunting over your duck silos, because I don't have a problem with shooting geese. I love it, but ducks are definitely my primary love. And so, yeah, I wanted to, actually, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you was, when you're hunting ducks in a field, are you putting out just duck silos, or are you trying to, draw ducks in with the geese?
If there's geese around, put out a whole bunch of the silhouettes, put out a ton if the socks are silhouettes, put the honkers out. They are so visible, it's crazy. And then I'd mix in some of the ducks with them. And then if you're primarily duck hunting, man, don't forget the motion. That's with the ducks being the motion is so key. It's crazy. If you got honkers and you got mallards, run them together. If you just want to run a pure mallard spread, you can do that also, but I'd put the mojos in there with them. So. Okay.
What about over water situations? Do you ever hunt with your duck silos over waters? Maybe put them in just a few inches of water.
Yeah. There was a year we had so much sheet water up in Saskatchewan that we couldn't find birds in a dry field. So, we ran them in sheet water. I think by sheet water, that really fans out there. But we had water in excess of a foot, something like that. We've got a 30 or 36 inch stake that you can run through the silhouettes. You can run them through the V2s, the V2Fs, and then the Mallard silos. So we actually have a tall stake. So you can run them in, foot and a half, 2 foot of water if you want to, and they work just fine. And those tall stakes also help you hide around the blind. But if you're predominantly hunting water, you should probably be running a floater. You're going to get motion off the water. and you're going to get, it's just a water decoy for water. But you can certainly run them around the edges. If you sheet water in the field, it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, water application would be around the banks. It'd be in the water as deep as you can go, and then if you're much deeper than that, you probably need to get a floater. And man, we wouldn't believe the guys out in Maryland that run V boards. So we get so many requests on, hey, can you come up with a V board for us? So that's running. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a V board, but that's running, basically a 2x4, cutting what's 360 divided by 3. I guess that's your angles. You put your 2x4s together and they float, and you got 3 silhouettes all facing each other, facing opposite directions. But they run silhouettes on water. So, and I think they've been doing out in Maryland and on that eastern shore for decades and decades. So silhouettes will work on water. I think it's proven.
Yeah, that's actually on my bucket list. What is it called? Body booting? Is that what they call when you're behind those V boards in the water?
Yeah, with the wetsuit or something.
Yeah. Because a lot of those guys run those V boards, don't they, out there on the eastern shore in that knee deep, hip deep water.
Yep, they run that. Well, the V boards would just be using a normal size silhouette. I've seen all those guys with what you're talking about running these just giants. I mean, I've seen that with cranes, and I was on an outfitter and they had pelicans. Pelicans migrate just like ducks and geese do. So they're in those state parks and refuges and all that stuff. So yeah, I saw guys cut out pelicans and hide behind those just like you're talking about. But that was in Kansas, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Huh? Yeah.
I've seen that in Oklahoma. Never drove up next to it, but there was just some huge white decoys that these guys were running on the opposite side of the lake. You could see it from half a mile away. So
yeah. Oh, phew.
Yeah.
Well, what else we know?
Well, what have you learned about birds or hunting birds since hunting over 2D spreads the last 8 years or so?
What have I learned? That the 2D stuff is just as effective as the 3D stuff. And you can save a heck of a lot of money by running 2D, and you can save a heck of a lot of time and energy by running 2D. You really can. You just kind of got to let go of what you see and what you've heard and what the media is telling you, and you just got to run it and try it firsthand. And I think you'll be surprised with the results. So, and there's so much more. There's the decoys. Decoys they're important. They really are. But number one is location, without a doubt. Number two is probably your hide. Number three is calling, and then 4 would probably be your decoys. So there's a whole lot more into hunter success than the decoys. Every once in a while we get a guy that says these decoys didn't work for us. We want to return them, and we said, well, give us your scenario, and it just sounds like a recipe of they were either in the wrong spot or they weren't hidden or whatnot. But they send them back in, no problem, and we sell them to the next guy, and he seems to have perfect results with them. But no, 2D is effective. It's been around for a long time. That's predominantly what I've learned. And then, industry-wise, I've learned if you take care of people, even the kids, especially the kids, if you got a guy, 18-year-old or high school kid, and he's calling in and he hands a phone to his mom and he says, hey, my mom's going to order for me because I don't have a credit card and whatnot. Man, you throw in a shirt or a decal or, help him out with something, and that kid's going to remember that. He's going to remember that for a long time. So if your business plan is to be around, to be a significant player in decades to come, it's like, and those little guys that really don't amount to much at the end of the day on the bottom line of the company, one of these days, and when they go to school and their buddies talk, one of these days they could be something or hopefully are something, and that's the future of this company. So, and who doesn't like taking care of a younger guy and a guy coming up and whatnot? So I think you guys can relate, and I certainly can, what it's like growing up and, your budget and whatnot. So.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And that's awesome to hear. Not only are you keeping care of those relations, but also to hear a guy who's running a decoy business to just be honest and tell you that decoys probably aren't the number one factor in your success of a hunt.
Yeah, it is great.
They're top of the line. The hunting guides are using them. And speaking of hunting guides, let's take it over to Chase real quick, who's going to give us our Fowl Front Pro Tip of the Week, brought to you by Hunt Hickory Creek.
Hey guys, this is Chase from Hunt Hickory Creek with your pro tip of the week. Do you ever have issues finding a landowner once you find the birds? Well, there's a couple of different things that you can do. First of all, we always use OnX here at Hunt Hickory Creek. It'll provide information such as landowner name, size of the property, and maybe even their tax address. So with that information, you can go through Google or your local white pages and see if you can find their information as far as a phone number or an actual physical address. If that doesn't work, then a lot of times we will go to the courthouse or even the co-op and try to find out more information about the land that we're trying to get permission to hunt on. Also, we will go around and try to talk to maybe local farmers or ranchers to see if we can get information on the landowner and possibly even contact information. These are a couple of different ways that when you're in a hurry to try to get permission, you can quickly and efficiently find out who the landowner is, and that way you can get after the birds. If you have any further questions on this kind of information, feel free to send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and we can discuss different ways that you can try to get permission in your local hunting area. Once again, this is Chase with Hunt Hickory Creek with your pro tip of the week.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But so are the 18-year-old kids that just are heading out to college for the first time, this fall, or and only have $200 and 5 buddies to go in on it, And I think that's something that's pretty neat about your guys' price point and quality.
Yeah, $200 and 5 guys. You're at $1,000. You're running 15 dozen silhouettes. That's easy. With a little bit of money to spare. So a 15 dozen spread and 5 guys at the age of 18 is phenomenal. I mean, and in that price, the deceiving part, and I think part of the reason for not slow growth, but just natural organic growth and a response that comes with it is, people see a price tag and they automatically assume that the price tag is a result of the materials that are in the product, and that's just not the case with our product. So we didn't cut any costs with materials or processes or development or anything like that. We've basically cut out a middleman margin or a profit markup that we can simply pass on to our customer. So we can offer a product that's as good or better than anything that the professionals have once touched or the big box stores currently sell, and we can offer it at a lower price. So, undersell, over deliver. I say that quite a bit, but we try not to overemphasize or oversell our product. We want people to get it and be a little skeptical, and then open the box and send us an email and say, "I can't believe what I just got for this amount of money." It's like, you wouldn't believe how many of those emails we get. Like, guys, just got my first 5 dozen, was skeptical, but get ready for some more orders down the road, and that's just so cool, It's there's nothing.
That's gotta be a good feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome, and it's just it gives you the good guy feeling. You're not trying to do anything deceitful and dishonest, and you're letting guys, but once weren't able to be competitive with big league guys, to now just be alongside them. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to deploying these big spreads of 2D decoys.
Mm-hmm.
I went and set out my 5 dozen that I've got right now, and my wife came home and took a picture and was like, "Oh my gosh," and she had multiple comments from her friends, like, "Are those pictures of geese on a piece of plastic or something? Those look like real birds."
Yeah,
and these are non-hunters and whatnot, but then a couple of my other buddies, they were giving me either some crap or some helpful advice, like, "Hey, you got to make sure that you when you place one, you walk 3 feet, and then you place another one, and then all this other stuff." But have you found any good rules for realistic spreads or different types of the season? Maybe you go, because at a certain point, if you just walk at 3 feet, you're just going to have a very uniform spread. Any tips or tricks?
Tips or tricks, geese are going to be coming into the wind. So I personally like to have the fattest spread possible when they're on approach. So I like to put a lot of the deeks perpendicular to the wind. That's my personal preference. And then, don't walk in a straight line and string them all up 3 feet apart. Try to be random. Don't walk straight. I mean, take 3 steps to the right, take 3 steps to the left. And you don't have to have one big bunch. You can have some smaller family groups broken off. I mean, put a group of 5, put a group of 10, 30 yards to the right or 50 yards downwind and break it up that way. But no, I've seen guys run them in little triangles, and I think that's I don't think that's the best way to do it. Kind of like the V-board style, but in the ground, because you're losing the other side of the decoy. You're basically you're only showing 3 sides when you could be showing 6. But no, just randomly. I think predominantly feeding into the wind, predominantly perpendicular to the wind, and that's what I've got. If you really want to do it right, take a look at what's out in the field, and mimic that.
Awesome.
Cody, do you ever think, have you ever had problems when a bird circles you? A lot of times, wishful thinking says that the bird's going to come into that hole against the wind perfectly, but if they come around your backside, do any of those silos or those 2Ds, they kind of disappear to the point where the geese are where'd those go? Or by the time they're on the backside, are they seeing them again?
But I like to hunt in the back part. I like to have to be on the back end of the group. So a bunch up my spread real tight on the most upwind portion, and that's where I'll sit. So by the time they get over me or behind me, and if they're looking upwind, they're not going to see anything because they're just not looking at you. But no, if they're turning and they see those decoys, the cool thing about a 2D silhouette is that as the birds circle, they'll come in and out of view. So the ones facing perpendicular to the wind will be out of view, and the ones parallel to the wind will be in view, and that gives the illusion of movement. So. No, I mean, there's no. This is purely subjective, and a lot of it's trial and error. So, put them out there random. I mean, if you got birds dumping in to one side, move your blinds over to that side, or see what they like about that side, and apply that side to the rest of your spread on the next hunt. So, the good thing about these decoys is if what you've got isn't working, you can get up, you can turn your layout, or just bundle them under your arms and change and move your spread. Heck, we've put out, scouting it late at night and up in Canada, and those fields are just so gigantic. Heck, if you get out there at 4:35 in the morning in the pitch black, heck, you thought you had them pinned, and you get out there and you weren't exactly sure. You're at 4:30 in the morning, you're not exactly sure where they were the last night. So you put out, giving your best guess. And if you're off the X, heck, these things are mobile enough. Just grab your layout blind, pull it behind you like a freaking sled, load it up with the silhouettes, and run over to where they're working and set back up, and you're in the money. So I can't tell you how many times we've done that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother factor to the mobile convenience of these decoys is, when you got birds banking one way or the other, or maybe the wind switches directions, it's a pain in the butt having to get out of that layout and pick up, 3, 5, 10 dozen full bodies and completely shift, the formation or, move a couple family pods here and there. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times when you're doing that, you have fresh birds coming in, you're missing opportunities. Whereas, with those 2Ds, you can move them in under a minute.
Oh, it just does not compare. I've messed with the full bodies long enough, and we've tried to rearrange and regroup and all that stuff with them. And then, God, if you're using a full body without a bungee, if you're just pushing a stake in the ground without a bungee, man, it's just a nightmare. So
we've had several younger guys, message us after we've been, running your guys' product and stuff like that on our Facebook. Hey, is it really worth it? Dude, yeah.
Yes.
Sell whatever 3D, you have, especially if you're trying to compete out here in central Kansas with some lessers or, all that. You can't beat realism because all these 3D decoy companies, those are realistic decoys, but you don't get more realistic than a picture.
Yeah, I mean they're very realistic, that's for sure. I had a guy in here the other day, and he said, I learned the tough way. He goes, I bid onto some marketing, and I bought the fanciest full bodies I could buy, and I downsized my spread, and whoa, they looked so nice. I'm telling you. He goes, we did that for a whole season, and we had the worst numbers we'd ever had. He goes, so a deep six does, and heck, he was telling a story about him hunting before dive bomb even existed. He goes, went out, bought bought a cost-effective decoy and bulked my numbers up, and we just smacked them, So, But no, for the money, regardless of the money, these decoys are absolutely beautiful. Especially the flocked heads, the V2Fs, that just give that extra pop. You can see them from further out. The birds, I think the birds like them, and I know for certain the buddy next to you hunting, your invite, your guest, he'll look at those and say, damn, those really look good. So,
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Well, do you have any advice for anybody that's maybe only running 5 to 10 dozen? How to, best maximize those, because that's kind of a smaller silhouette spread, I guess, and just kind of what have you ever gotten away with 5 dozen?
5 dozen of the V1s. Heck, if we run a real small spread, we'll try to back out of the spread, because I think you're going to have a heck of a time trying to hide yourself in 5 dozen silhouettes. So,
right.
So along the brush, along the edge of a field, or heck, even back behind the spread, give yourself a good 20 yards, and you'll be shooting a little bit further. But if you get in a spread with 5 dozen and the birds, they look like they're coming down, all of a sudden they flare, and they're not flaring because you're moving. They're not flaring because the guy in the field over is shooting. They're just pulling up because they're being cautious. Back out of that spread. Pull your spread back, or pull your blinds back from that spread, and just watch their reaction. That's my suggestion. If you can hunt a field edge and run 5 dozen, you're in. I mean, if you got uncut stuff on the edge of a field and those birds were working close enough to that before, or you can get in their line and they'll see those decoys out in the field with no blind at all, you're in. But the biggest problem with running 5 alone is trying to hide yourself. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's great advice. A lot of guys around the country are getting prepped for early goose season. That's, some of those people up in North Dakota, I think, 2 more days and it's already open for them. And, you get a lot of those resident geese across the country that are coming in small family groups, and it's more realistic to be running a smaller spread. So that's great advice to back off, maybe take a little longer shot and get hidden outside of the spread.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, good. What else? So I forgot to mention one new product is the S3 Mallard. So we've got Mallard socks. They'll be coming out within about a month. So those will be really cool. And
awesome.
The socks and the silhouettes, they're like a peanut butter and jelly, man. They're meant for each other. The silhouettes have a couple different head positions, and the socks are primarily head down. But get the socks, help hide yourself, help hide the blind, and then on a windy day, those socks will be moving, and they'll have that illusion of those silhouettes moving, and you got one hell of a spread. So, and then with those socks, the S3s and the V2s and the M1s, they can all go in the same bag, which is pretty cool. Those bags are square and they stack real nice, and there you have it. So,
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of room in those bags.
Yeah, sure is.
I'm excited to be running those socks, to hide myself. The last couple seasons, it seems like a lot of birds are getting weary of me and, my hunting group's layout blind. So I'm hoping that's going to maybe change the game up and help us hide a little better inside the spread with those layouts.
Yeah, I hope so too. They're tall. I put about a dozen of those S5s out in the yard here at the shop, and called my dog and just ran right under them. I mean, that's another cool factor. If you're running a bunch of dogs, run these S5s, and those dogs will just run. They'll just run right under them. I thought that was one of the most overlooked things or cool things about them that I just noticed by just being random. So anyway,
it's worth it just to get a picture of that alone.
Yeah, there should be some pretty cool photos coming out of that. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're actually starting a little competition on our Fowl Front thing. Basically, calling it like the dozen challenge or something, but we're timing people how quickly they can put up and tear down just 1 dozen. So
cool. Let me know how it goes. Heck.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna.
It spawned from me and Tegan arguing about who could do it quicker. So
well, cool.
We're about to head to the park right now. So
we'll get a couple more guys involved, and we'll put together a prize package. How's that sound?
Hey, all right, sounds good. We'll be running it on the Fowl Front here, Facebook group here probably today.
You guys better start training, get that package, get that prize.
Yeah,
I'll be doing a shuttle run in the warehouse until I get out of work this afternoon. So
We'll let you and Asher be the judge. But Ben brought up a great point earlier. Some of these people will probably just start stacking them right next to each other. So Ben said we're going to have to factor in a fashion or style points in there somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah. The nearest decoy has to be 3 feet or 5 feet apart. So
there we go.
Can't be in a perfect line. Or I don't know how you do this. But anyway, I'm sure you guys could come up with something creative. You guys are creative, so.
Absolutely. Well, we always kind of ask these questions here at the end, but hey, you only get one hunt for the rest of your life. Where are you going? Who are you going with? What's the weather like? What are you running? And what are you hitting?
I'm in flooded corn in Missouri. I'm with my oldest friends. We're shooting greenheads in the face, and what am I shooting? I mean, I'm having a lot of laughs, that's for sure. But no, I'm with my oldest buddies, the guys I cut my teeth with, or shooting stuff in my home state and getting them in tight and green only. And a band would be pretty cool. A couple bands would be cool. And that's that. Weather, I mean, blue skies, 15-mile-an-hour wind. I think it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, agreed. Are you able to get out much during the season, being the boss at all?
So the joke is, should have done a lawn care business or a pool cleaner or a pool cleaning company or something like that. So it's unfortunate that the peak season of hunting coincides with the peak season of hunting product sales. I mean, that's pretty logical, isn't it? But no, it's been nice. I mean, with growth of the company, I can start to delegate a bit. And I got a guy that Andy runs shipping, and Debbie helps pick and pull, and then Asher does customer service and social media, and then I can get out and hunt. And in doing that, I can learn about the products we have already out in the field and see how people are applying them. It's nice to see people that do things out of the box and see how people are applying things, and then it also gives me a chance to get out with some of the new products and test them and get some feedback and whatnot. So my plan is this year is to hunt quite a bit. So it should be cool. We'll see if that really happens. I mean, once stuff gets back ordered here or the phone starts blowing up, then probably have to step in and help out. But no, it would be nice to enjoy some of the fruits of this company and get out there and hunt with the people I've talked to over the last several years, hunt with the people that help us promote and have some fun out there. So that's my plan. But business here is number one. So we got a bunch of people now that depend on this place and this business for the livelihood of their family, and that's what's most important. So.
Well, I hope that you do get out this season. Best of luck. And if you find yourself with a wild hare and you just want to kind of go off the wall, you always have a spot in Kansas to hunt.
Yeah. Hey, sounds good. I appreciate it, guys. Keep that in mind for sure. I know Asher's going to be out there, so if you don't have something scheduled with him or linked up with him, you should get a plan for sure.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So. Well, hey, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day, and go ahead and get back to helping fill those orders, right?
Okay, we'll do for sure. Thanks so much for having me, guys. You have a fantastic show, and good luck with this show. I'm thrilled to see you guys are doing so great with it, and I'm thrilled to be on it. Actually, I'm honored, so appreciate it very much. Okay.
Yes, sir. Hey, thank you very much, Cody.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right. I want to take a minute to thank some of our sponsors. We've got Hunt Hickory Creek. Hunt Hickory Creek is located in southeast and central Kansas. They've got 2 different locations. And not only are they going to put you on the birds, but you're going to have a heck of a time. These guys are some really good guys. You got Chase. He's over in he's really active in the Facebook group. And then you've got Cody and then Scotty. These guys are going to show you a great time. And they got a pretty sweet hunting lodge out there. And I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they still have some November dates left. So if you are looking for your hunt of a lifetime, go hit up hunthickorycreek.com or head on over to the Facebook page, Fowl Front Waterfowl group, and hit them up. So we've also got Dive Bomb Industries. Dive Bomb Industries they've got some sick decoys. And for absolutely incredible prices. And you just heard literally an hour of their CEO and their president. So it's a great company with great people that are looking to get people into affordable spreads. Literally, you ain't got the time or money to run a trailer full of full bodies. Go look into these dive bombs. They're the real deal. I can't say enough for it. And then they're also giving a 10% promo code, Fowl Front, 2 words, all undercase. We've also got Colorado custom game calls. These calls, first and foremost, sound amazing. And second, they're completely customizable. You can get whatever colors. You can get a Fowl Front band with our logo and our name on it. You can get whatever different colors of resin that you want. They're awesome. And then you go hit up Austin. He's in the group as well. So if you want a completely custom call that is tailored to your aesthetic needs and what you and sounds great, head on over to Colorado Custom Game Calls for your 10% off promo code of Fowl Front. That's 2 words, all undercase. Next, we've got Freelance Hunt Stats. FreelanceHuntStats.com is created. It's the brainchild of freelance duck hunter Elliot himself. He's also in the group, and this thing is pretty sweet. You can track all of your game totals, what the weather was like that day by different location, how many shots. You can look at cloudy versus sunny, windy versus non-windy, how many birds you harvested on what date at this pond. It is going to help you be a hunter that is maximizing your potential. And in a few years, that thing is going to be a robust database for knowledge, and he's got a great deal on it right now. So head on over to freelancehuntstats.com. Next, we've got Toe Tags LLC. Toe Tags LLC for like 18 cents a day. All right, imagine this. You've already spent the money on your hunting license, all of your decoys, your gas, your truck, your shotgun, the coffee, all that stuff, and a considerable amount of time to hunt birds. What if I told you for 25 cents a day, you could stop yourself from breaking the law every single day? I don't even know if it's 25 cents. I don't even know if it's that. I think it's less than that. I haven't done the math on it, but they're cheap. For like cents a day, not even $1 a day, you can ensure that you are not breaking the law when it comes to tagging your migratory game birds. And it makes it super easy. All you have to do is fill out. You can do it. You can do it in the blind, waiting for legal shooting time. That's how easy it is. No, there's no thought to it. Just shove them in your blind bag. Next time you shoot a bird, throw this tag on your strap, and you are good to go. Nobody, no duck is worth $17,000, or whatever it is, and possible jail time, and you getting into trouble. No one wants that. Not to mention not hunting for several years. So we've got Ryan from Toe Tags LLC coming on in a few weeks to give us the lowdown. So. Last but not least, we've got DocsOutdoorSupplies.com. They've got a Fowl Front 10% discount code too, which is Fowl Front, all one word. Fowl Front 18, all one word. 10% off. A lot of these big box stores, they'll shoot you a really low price on the internet, and then by the time you get done adding the shipping and the taxes onto it, boom, you are in for it a lot more than you thought you were. Not at DocsOutdoorSupplies.com, which admittedly is my father's online store. Head on over there. He's got a lot of motion decoys. The price you see is the price you pay. It's got that sounded really kitschy, but the price that you see on there is what you're going to be paying. So, especially with that discount code, very comparable prices to some of the big places. And he's got a lot of motion decoys on there, and anything else you need to get out into the woods. So. All right, guys, go ahead and support all those companies. We really appreciate it because they're the ones that help bring this podcast and make it possible every week. So, all right, see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast. Please come join us on our Facebook group, the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast group, where you can connect with a good group of hunters because we're all in this together. We need to act like it so that hopefully our great grandkids we'll be hunting ducks over our favorite public lands. We also ask that you go ahead and give us a written review on iTunes and give us 5 stars if you think we deserve it. And we really do want to hear back from you so that we can give you the best possible content. And if you get in on that Facebook group, you can get in there and you can ask questions and you can tell us what you want to hear next, or you can tell us what you don't like, and we'll be sure to tailor things to our listeners. So, all right. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next week.